The search for the worst continues. Today on the search for the worst, Human Centipede 2. It's worse than the first one, and I didn't think that was possible. It's literally worse than the first one. I didn't think that was possible. It's fucking awful. It just kept getting worse. I mean, it's bloody terrible. The thing I've noticed with these Human Centipede movies, at least the first two, I don't know about the third one, there's no story to them. There is no story to them whatsoever. Some fucking idiot decides to make a Human Centipede, and that's the movie. Then he goes around getting people to do it, and then he makes it, and then the fucking, I don't know, he gets arrested or caught or dies or something. And then the movie ends. It's fucking boring. I'm telling you, they're boring. So it starts off with a security guard watching the ending of the first movie, which is a bit weird to think, because then what is the verse in this? Because a guy is watching the first movie, but he's in the second movie, which is a sequel to the first movie. So how is it working? But anyway, ignoring that, he's a security guard which works night. He's on the night shift. Then he goes around catching random people to make the Human Centipede because he's got inspiration from the first movie and decides, right, I'm going to make my own one. But it's even worse because in the first one he only had 3 people, but he decides to make one with like 12 people. I swear, it gets more and more every time. I swear, it just keeps getting worse and worse, this movie does. So he catches a load of people, and there's literally no story. I'm not even making this up. At one point, the security guard has a wank. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. He does. He literally does to one of the actors of the previous movie, which again, it's weird because he's in the sequel. But yeah, I'm not joking. That actually happens on screen in the movie. But yeah. And then he catches more and more people, and it's revealed that he has loads of like tools and equipment to perform this fucking surgical bollocks, even though he's not a surgeon whatsoever. Like, at least the last guy in the last movie, he actually was a doctor surgeon or whatever, a mad surgeon or whatever. This guy is just a random security guard in a fucking security fucking guard job. So how the hell is he suddenly just knowing how to do the... I mean, I know he's watched the first movie and he's using that exact method. He literally uses the exact method in the first movie. But it's just stupid. It is just stupid. And then he attaches them all together and just thinks, right, well, that's great. But literally, again, nothing happens. I'm struggling to tell you what happens because nothing fucking happens in the movie. It's boring. It is possibly one of the boringest movies I've ever seen. I'm thinking, what about the gore, the action? There's nothing. It's fucking boring rubbish. It is boring, this movie is. Really, really boring and long. It drags. It's honestly, it's not even on for that long, but it just drags because nothing happens in these movies and they're fucking just shite. They're utterly shite. Yeah, also at one point, for some reason, Martin drives one of his victims to an audition thing that she had, but then decides, fuck it, I'll kill her and all. Well, not kill her, put her in the Human Centipede and all. And then he just does. He pretends to drive to it, but it turns out he purposely takes a wrong turn and then goes into like his lab or whatever, which is apparently now exists, and then starts fucking slicing her to death. Well, not really to death, but to near enough death. After all this shit occurs, he finally decides to actually make the Human Centipede, which is even worse looking than the first one because there's like about 12 of them. I'm not joking, there's more of them in this one. And yeah, it just looks bloody terrible. It goes on forever. And then after that, basically, he gets injured by it at some point, but then he's fine. But then for some reason, he decides to leave the room to do fuck knows, probably get more people to attach to the centipede itself. And then midway through, while he's gone, some people decide, right, fuck this, we're going. And then they just rip themselves off from it. But obviously, they're still struggling because they've just ripped themselves off and they're attached by the flesh. So the fucking skin comes off or whatever, some skin comes off of the people, but then he returns and just kills them all because most of them were already detached off the Human Centipede, so he thinks, fuck it. Then after all that bullshit, the guy kills everyone and goes back to his office, and the movie ends. Human Centipede 2 is the worst movie I've ever seen. It's fucking boring. There's no story to it whatsoever. It's literally just a guy going round, like, hunting people, make the centipede, makes the centipede. The centipede fucking goes tits up, so then he kills all the people, and then it ends. It's fucking dreadful, boring, don't watch it. It's possibly the worst movie I've ever seen. Fucking ever, it's awful. Here's where it stacks in with the rest of these movies. Yeah, it stacks 8th. The best thing about the movie is the fucking poster, if that tells you anything. Shit. Yeah, and that's Reckon's still worst. I won't be surprised if we don't get a movie that is worse than Reckon for a while. But saying that, Human Centipede 2 wasn't much better. And apparently Human Centipede 3 is the fucking worst one. So I've got to do that next. Yeah, Human Centipede 3 next. I'll be glad when this shit's done. Bye.